Hey guys, it's time for another community ranking, and this time you guys are going to decide which is the worst boss Fromsoftware has ever done. Now I decided to choose 32 bosses, but unlike the other tournaments where I picked a boss from every single game, this time I will not put any boss from Elden Ring because I don't think any of the Remembrances bosses is bad enough to be in these 32 that I pick. The absolute favorite to win the whole thing is of course Bed of Chaos. Now let's see if it actually won. On our first group, we had Cursed Rotted Greatroot from Dark Souls 3, we had Twin Dragon Rider from Dark Souls 2, we had Celestial Emissary from Bloodborne, and we had Seth from Dark Souls 1. And in the comments, Upside Productions said, not only is Seth the worst fight in Souls, he might be the worst fight in all of gaming. And boy oh boy do I agree with you. I really wanted Seth to win this tournament. I think it's an incredibly disappointing boss, and you only fight the tail, there's nothing. I've never died to this boss, there's no challenge, there's nothing. And I was really happy to see that, you know, the final votes gave Celestial Emissary in 4th place with 11% of the votes, Twin Dragon Rider with 19% of the votes, Cursed Rotted Greatroot got 2nd place, so it advances to the round of 16 with 27% of the votes, and Seth actually won the group with 44% of the votes, which made me extremely happy. Now in our second group, we had Dragon God from Demon Souls, we had Elflight from Dark Souls 3, we had the Gang Squad from Dark Souls 2, and the Moonlight Butterfly from Dark Souls 1. And in the comments, Dylano said Gang Squad is one of the dumbest, laziest boss fights I've ever seen. And you guys also think the exact same way because Moonlight Butterfly got last place with only 10% of the votes, Elflight got 15% of the votes, Dragon God got 2nd place, so it goes to the round of 16, and as expected, Gang Squad won with a whopping 56% of the votes. Now in our third group, we had Ancient Dragon from Dark Souls 2, Last Giant also from Dark Souls 2, Headless Ape from Sekiro, and the Witches of Amwick from Bloodborne. And in the comments, Yellow Z said Ancient Dragon all the way, straight up the worst boss fight for me, might be even worse than Bed of Chaos. And to be honest, I was a bit surprised that there was so much hate for Ancient Dragon around this tournament, as you will see later. And in this group, it won very easily. The Last Giant, which I kind of even felt bad for putting in this, but I had to choose 32 bosses, stayed last place with only 7% of the votes. We had Witches of Amwick with only 15% of the votes. Headless Ape got 23, getting that 2nd place and going to the round of 16. And Ancient Dragon won easily with 55% of the votes. Now in our 4th group, we had Dragon Rider from Dark Souls 2, we had Folding Scream Monkeys from Sekiro, Adjudicator from Demon Souls, and the Dirty Colossus also from Demon Souls. And as Sushar said in the comments, Folding Scream Monkeys are very annoying because in a game like Sekiro, you simply want to fight instead of solving riddles and gimmicks. And I completely agree with him because I just did a video which was the longest fight I ever had in a Souls games, and the Folding Scream Monkeys took me 30 minutes to find, you know, the puzzle, to solve the puzzle, and it was incredibly annoying. And a lot of people also seem to agree with him because they got 1st place in this group. But in 4th place, we had the Adjudicator with 11% of the votes, we had Dragon Rider with 19%, we had Dirty Colossus in 2nd place, or advancing to the round of 16, with 23% of the votes, and Folding Scream Monkeys won with 47%, which I was quite happy with. In our 5th group, we had Old Monk from Demon Souls, Pinwheel from Dark Souls, Prowling Magus from Dark Souls 2, and the Guardian Dragon also from Dark Souls 2. And Cosmic Cat in the comments said that Prowling Magus, because they aren't a boss, just a glorified mob. And how can we not agree with this? It's just a bunch of enemies inside a room, and they have a health bar. They're super easy. They don't feel like a boss at all, and they won this group easily, with Guardian Dragon getting the 4th place with 7% of the votes, Old Monk with 8%, Pinwheel got 2nd place, which I was kind of surprised with that, and Prowling Magus won easily with 74% of the votes. And for our 6th group, we had the Leechmonger from Demon Souls, we had Bed of Chaos, the favorite from Dark Souls 1, we had Rat King from Dark Souls 2, and the Ancient Wyvern from Dark Souls 3. And in the comments, Kiranikib said we all know who's winning this, don't we? And of course we do, because this was a very, very easy group for Bed of Chaos, with Leechmonger staying last with 3% of the votes, Rat King staying in third with 7%, Ancient Wyvern goes to the round of 16 with 9%, and Bed of Chaos got 80% of the votes. Now in our 7th group we had Kingaland from Demon Souls, Vendrick from Dark Souls 2, Belfry Gargles also from Dark Souls 2, and the Capra Demon from Dark Souls 1. And in the comments we had She Keep It Real X saying Capra Demon didn't need the dogs in such a small area, F that. And honestly, I mean, Capra Demon is not that bad, the boss itself, but the dogs and the area is what ruins everything. Like, I really would never put Capra Demon if he was alone in a bigger area just fighting him. I would never put him in this 32 worst bosses, but because of the dogs and the such small arena, he totally deserves to be here. And a lot of people agreed with that also, because Vendrick got 4th place with only 10% of the votes, Kingaland got 3rd place with 12% of the votes. The Belfry Gargles got 2nd place with 25% of the votes, going to the round of 16, and Capra Demon won easily with 52% of the votes. Now in our final group we had the Royal Rat Authority from Dark Souls 2, Covetous Demon from Dark Souls 2 as well, Ceaseless Discharge from Dark Souls 1, and Centipede Demon also from Dark Souls 1. And in the comments, Myra Yokizi said Covetous Demon is funny at least, and I think everyone agrees with that, because Covetous Demon does remind us of Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars, and I think that was crucial because Covetous Demon got 16% of the votes, the same as Centipede Demon, also with 16% of the votes, and Ceaseless Discharge got that 2nd place with only 17. This was very, very close. And Royal Rat Authority got the 1st place with 51, so it won the group very easily. Now in our first round of 16s, we had a really tough group. We had Seth from Dark Souls 1, we had Gang Squad from Dark Souls 2, we had Dragon God from Demon Souls, and we had Cursed Rot Greatwood from Dark Souls 3. And in the comments, I am mildly upset with most of YouTube said Gang Squad is the obvious answer, and you guys completely agree with him, because the Gang Squad won this group easily, which was kind of surprising to me. I thought this group would be tighter. But Seth got 4th place, sadly for me, with only 9% of the votes. Cursed Rotted Greatwood only had 13% of the votes. Dragon God got 2nd place and goes to the round of 8 with 15% of the votes, and Gang Squad won with a spectacular 63% of the votes. Now in our 2nd round of 16 we had Dirty Colossus from Demon Souls, Folding Scream Monkeys from Sekiro, Headless Ape also from Sekiro, and Ancient Dragons from Dark Souls 2. And in the comments it was actually quite cool to see, because Panagio Tispanso gave some love for Ancient Dragon. He said Ancient Dragon at least has some cool lore, and also Tarnished Warrior said that Ancient Dragon was actually fun to fight. Apparently people don't agree though, because Ancient Dragon actually won this group, with Dirty Colossus getting last place with only 3% of the votes. Folding Scream Monkeys got 3rd place with 16% of the votes. Headless Ape goes to the final 8, I was super surprised with this one. And Ancient Dragon won easily with 59% of the votes. Now in our 3rd round of 16 we had Pinwheel, how the hell is he still here, Bed of Chaos, Ancient Wyvern, and Prowling Magus. And in the comments, Grey Strat said, I think I hate Prowling Magus even more than Bed of Chaos, but the results say a very different thing, because this was a complete annihilation. Pinwheel only got 4% of the votes, Ancient Wyvern only got 6% of the votes, and Prowling Magus only got 7. Like, this was an insane win for Bed of Chaos with 83% of the votes, and I think at this point we were seeing that Bed of Chaos was gonna win the whole thing, because this percentage was just crazy. And in our final round of 16 we had Ceaseless Discharge from Dark Souls 1, we had Belfry Gargoyles from Dark Souls 2, we had Capra Demon from Dark Souls 1, and the Royal Rat Authority from Dark Souls 2. And in the comments, Yasin said Capra Demon is super easy alone, but the horrible arena and the dogs make it super hard for no reason. And yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. And surprisingly though, Capra Demon did not win this group because Ceaseless Discharge got last place with 10% of votes. Belfry Gargoyles only had 14% of the votes. I really thought they would get farther, but Capra Demon got second place with 22% of the votes, and Royal Rat Authority with a big win here with 54% of the votes. It really seems like a lot of people really hate those toxic rats. And it's time for the final 8, and we had 1 versus 1 this time. So we had Headless Ape versus the Gang Squad. And in the comments, Fazinho gave a really funny comment. I was really laughing when I read this because he wrote, "For me, Meteor is the worst boss in the entire series." I was totally not prepared for this comment. And it really shows how much people like different things because, man, I was not expecting someone to say Meteor was the worst boss ever made by Fromsoftware, and it made me laugh. So thank you for the laugh, Fazinho. But when it comes to the fight between Headless Ape and Gang Squad, this was a complete annihilation. Gang Squad won easily with 83% of the votes, and they are in the final 4. Now, on the second round of 8, we had the Capra Demon versus Bed of Chaos, and Bale the Dread Dragon said Bed of My Hopes and Dreams is going to win, and he was incredibly right. This wasn't even a contest. Bed of Chaos completely annihilated Capra Demon with 92% of the votes in the biggest win of the entire tournament. That was insane. And in our third round of 8, we had Dragon God versus the Ancient Dragon, and in the comments, Bowser Nada said that Ancient Dragon, and it's not even close. And it really wasn't close at all because Ancient Dragon won with 83% of the votes. And I guess this shows without a doubt which one is the worst dragon ever made in the history of Fromsoftware. Ancient Dragon, you're the one. And in our final round of 8, we had Royal Rat Authority versus Prowling Magus, and I really thought Prowling Magus was gonna win this. And in the comments, Carl Schrappen said Prowling Magus is nowhere near as bad. I'm surprised it got this far in the first place. And yeah, Royal Rat Authority won easily. I really was surprised with this. I really thought Prowling Magus was gonna win this, but the little toxic rats have a lot of power, it seems. Now in the final 4, we had Ancient Dragon against the Gang Squad, and I was really hoping that the final would be Gang Squad versus Bed of Chaos. And in the comments, it's Pintimeo. Beating the Gang Squad felt like winning. A really skewed PvP evasion, so very satisfying. And apparently a few people agree with him because who actually won was the Ancient Dragon with 62% of the votes, so at least it was close, and I missed my prediction, and Ancient Dragon is in the final. And now in the other round of 4, we had Bed of Chaos, of course, against Royal Rat Authority, and GBA said in the comments, Bed of Chaos is a horrendous test of patience for me. And I guess it's for you and everyone else because this was a gigantic win for Bed of Chaos. It wasn't even close, 89% of the votes, and Bed of Chaos is gonna meet Ancient Dragon in the final. Now before the final, I decided to see who would get third place, and between Royal Rat Authority and the Gang Squad, you guys decided to give third place to Gang Squad with 73% of the votes, which kind of made me happy because, like I said, my prediction was that they would get second place. They got third, so not so bad. And in the final, there was absolutely no competition. Bed of Chaos versus Ancient Dragon, even with a gigantic comment from Pietro Catalano saying that Bed of Chaos is a little bit better and giving a ton of examples why it's better than Ancient Dragon. Bed of Chaos completely annihilated Ancient Dragon with 84% of the votes. Like, this is the biggest win of all the tournaments so far. The favorite has won in a very spectacular and a very easy way. Bed of Chaos, after all these years, it's still the most hated boss Fromsoftware has ever done. So that is it. Those are the results. Thanks to everyone that participated, and I see you guys on the next tournament. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and participating in the tournament, and I see you guys next time. Stay well. Bye bye.